Texas is causing controversy over recent comments she made about Governor Abbott. Fox's Stephen Dial explains.
Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is being called out by other elected officials for her comments last Saturday at a human rights campaign event.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot mess.
Referring to Governor Greg Abbott as Hot Wheels, Abbott was partially paralyzed when a tree fell on him decades ago.
Hey, I'm gonna move on.
Multiple Texas lawmakers took to social media to condemn Crockett for her remarks. Texas Senator John Cornyn saying, quote, "Crockett's comments are disgraceful. Can you imagine if a Republican said something like this? It would be on the front page of the New York Times and all over CNN." I spoke to Crockett Tuesday. She had this to say, quote, "I said that he was a hot expletive mess, referencing his terrible policies. Never at any time did I reference his condition. I am even more appalled that the people that unequivocally support Trump, who is known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking the uniquely abled, are outraged. Keep this energy up for all people, not just your political adversaries."
On March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down.
Crockett is also in hot water for this comment she made about Elon Musk, who has been the target of protests and whose Tesla dealerships have been hit by vandals. Moments after the remark, Crockett gave a clarification, saying she did not mean violence towards Musk.
I'm saying that figuratively. Obviously, everything that I am promoting is nonviolent. And so definitely don't want anyone to take that word literal in any way.
Those comments did not sit well with the U.S. Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who thinks Crockett should be censured by Congress.
And yet she turns and says, "Oh, I'm not calling for violence." Well, she is an elected public official, and so she needs to tread very carefully.
Not calling for violence. That is a sitting member of the United States Congress in the House. And that's just one of the things that she's recently said. And then when everybody attacked her for it, goes on this spin of, "Oh, that's not what I meant. That's not what I said. You're taking it out of context," blaming it on Fox News, which I'm going to share a little clip with you. But, you know, the funny thing is, she is a violent person. Not only is she calling for violence, inciting violence, but a reporter in the halls of Congress was just trying to ask her a question about this comment making fun of special needs people, or in this case, Governor Abbott in a wheelchair. And she didn't like that. So she physically took her hand and shoved it in his camera and tried to take the camera away. Now, that person has filed a complaint with the Capitol Police, who I'm being told is not taking this seriously. Not only did she do that by taking her hand and shoving it at his camera, but also her fingernail scratched his hand. That's assault, no matter how you look at it. So, and she's laughing the whole time. Let's take a look. This just happened, my friends. Check this out.
Horse manure. Well, that sounds like fun.
Wait, Congresswoman Crockett.
But it sounds...
Congresswoman Crockett, you were recently on a Tesla takedown call calling for violence on your 29th. Would you like to clarify your comments?
As you can see.
Congresswoman, will you condone violence?
And of course, the camera cuts off as it falls out of his hand. And I don't know if there's any damage done to the camera or not, but it's obvious that she has a problem. Pam Bondi comes out, the head of the DOJ, and says Congress should censor her. No, they should not. I'm against that. And here's why. If your actions are so despicable and repeated over and over and over again, which is what it takes to get you censored, then just go ahead and remove that person from Congress. You've already done that. Remember last year when the guy ran to be member of Congress and got elected being a big ass liar and was just saying all kinds of stupid shit and lied about his education, lied about his employment. I mean, everything about him was fake. And he got elected. They didn't censor him. They just got together, voted, and kicked him out of Congress. And that's what needs to happen to people that do this kind of crap. That's not what we sent you to Washington, D.C. to do, to incite violence. So in this next little clip I'd like you to watch, Fox News did a little play on it. And I got to tell you, I although it's serious, the way they did this and the things that were said, I laughed so freaking hard I was crying. So let me give you a warning before we watch this next clip. If you're drinking any type of liquid or you're in the process of eating, stop for just a moment while the clip plays, because I don't want you to choke from laughing, because this shit's funny, all right? Although it's serious what she's doing. But I want you to see this clip if you haven't already watched it.
He's number one at being dumb, the new face of the DNC. Gather round, cause that's a Jasmine. Yeah,
Nice. Jasmine Crockett still conceals the meaning of Hot Wheels. The Texas congresswoman still won't apologize over making fun of Texas Governor Abbott's disability. Here's what she said to kick it off.
We in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
Whoa.
And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So,
Now she claims that she wasn't talking about Abbott's wheelchair at all. Yet she's mentioned Abbott's wheels before. In 2022, she posted Beto's rolling around the state. Where's Abbott rolling to? And according to the Washington Free Beacon, Crockett also liked several Facebook comments referring to Abbott as Hot Wheels back in 2021. But is Jazz having an identity crisis? This is her now.
it's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard, right? Like, there is no niceties with him. To be clear, free speech is not about whatever it is that y'all want somebody to say. And the idea that you want to shut down everybody that is not Fox News is bull. We need to stop playing, because that's what y'all are doing in here.
But wait, this was her before she went to D.C.
Well, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need.
Tyrus! I come to you for no particular reason. Can you please explain to me what happened to that young, smart,
I'll take it from there, Governor. I'm going to explain to you what happened.
Okay.
Same thing that happened on this show.
Yes.
She got the job. That was the get the job voice. Remember when I first met you? Good evening, Gus. Oh, it's nice to meet you. It's a real pleasure to be here. Oh, cool. Once I got the job, what it is, let's crack jokes. That's all it is. That's all it is. You know, it's just, you gotta, to get the job, you know, you gotta leave the Negro at home and do the, like, you know, the, what it is afternoon. And then once you get in, you can say whatever you want to say. Listen, everyone talks different. with their crew and their people. Everyone has a different way of talking when they're with other people or whatever. She's too comfortable, and she thinks she's clever when she does it. But here's the cold part. Somebody's writing that for her.
Yeah.
That's why she had to remember and look back, because apparently Hot Wheels she thought was going to be someone thought it was a wonderful joke and it was going to do well. So she set it up, but she doesn't read good because she's like, and this, and then she said the Hot Wheels, and as soon as she said it, it didn't get the reaction that she thought it would. So then she paused again. So again, when you have people write, this is why when white people write black slang, weird happens. Yeah. And this is what happens. Well, like, if I wanted to get ethnic on somebody, I wouldn't call Joe and be like, hey, Joe, write me some hood. No offense, Tyrus, I get right to it. Gee Willikers, that's not the guy. What, that doesn't sound like Joe Mackey?
Listen, I can write you some hood. White people crazy. They pay taxes, stuff like that. Right? Crazy ass crackers going to the movies and not talking. See, here's showing up on time.
Did you work were you on the Def Jam comedy?
I've done every urban. You can only hold the white man down so long. I was the first white comic on Def Jam. It was on for 5 years. Then I went on. And so
Were you the token?
What's that?
Were you the token?
I hate myself. I was so this was 25 years ago. And if I went on now, I would just sit out and talk. I walked out like, I'm like, like, and I look back at it. I mean, I did grow up in an all-black neighborhood in Princeton, and no, in Plainfield. I grew up in a black neighborhood, but I pandered when I was on the show. But I did all the urban shows, BET, the Apollo, all of them, Hey, it is what it is, bro.
Kennedy, how long is she going to keep this thing that she wasn't talking about, the wheelchair?
Yeah. Come on, babe, you're full of and all that, Jasmine. I think what happened was AOC was like, you guys, I need to triangulate and be serious now because I'm going to be a senator. So someone has to be a talking attention whore. Who's it going to be? And Jasmine raised her hand and goes, excuse me, Congresswoman Cortez, I speak jive.
What it is, Mama.
My mama didn't raise no dummy.
Brooke, could she be the new face of the Democrat Party?
Unfortunately, she is. It's so sad that this is what plays. And at what point does jive, so to speak, really become irresponsible incitement to violence? Why is she getting away with saying you could punch opponents, or Ted Cruz needs to be knocked in the head, or all I want for my birthday is to take Elon down? This is quite dangerous rhetoric from an elected official. I think Pam Bondi was absolutely right when she told her to watch it, because we are seeing people go out on the street, vandalize and destroy Tesla's, other Americans' property, because they have a different political opinion than Elon Musk. And what we're doing, and what the Democratic Party has done, and basically what their platform is normalizing hatred and normalizing violence against someone because you disagree with their political opinion. And she's basically the poster child for that right now.
Well, that is an amazing transition to the story that we will be covering next. Very good, Brooke.
Now that's funny, okay? I laughed very, very hard at that segment. But this shit's serious, all right? What she's doing is classic inciting violence. And because of the things coming out of her mouth and other Democrats up on the Hill, violence is taking place. There are people being attacked once again for wearing a red ball cap that says "Make America Great Again." I was going to share that clip with you tonight, but didn't have time. I had some other stuff I was doing this evening, and I had to rush back here to get ready for the show. But I'll share it with you at a later time. But there's a clip where there's a guy, somebody pulled out their cell phone when this commotion started. It's a guy on a commuter train, I guess in New York City, in the subway, and not commuter train, but in the subway, and he's wearing a red Make America Great Again hat, and this woman isn't having it, and she starts yelling at him and hollering at him and saying he's a racist and he's following Trump. He was a racist and a Nazi, and so people pulled out their cell phones and started recording this, and so the subway car comes to a stop and the doors open and he starts to walk away, and she decides she's going to take that hat off his head. And he takes off running to get away from her. And she goes chasing after him and then falls and busts her ass. Okay? So that's karma. All right? Karma for you. And then we've got the Tesla dealerships being set on fire with Molotov cocktails. And they're setting Tesla vehicles on fire. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but just a few months ago, the left was all for electric vehicles. Elon Musk was their god, for crying out loud. And now, only because he's working with Donald Trump, and they hate Donald Trump so damn bad, they're doing this. Now, it's no skin off his back. He's got fucking insurance, and he's the richest. Today, he is the richest human being on planet Earth, Elon Musk. So he's just doing this because he loves our country. He wants to help our country with the whole Doge thing, what Trump put him up to do. Find fraud, waste, and abuse, because he's a computer genius. And that's who you need to go into these agencies, government agencies, into their computer systems where they hide all this crap and find it. And boy, are they finding it. I've shared some of that with you. I'm sure you've seen it. It's all over the internet, for crying out loud. They've got a website you can go to. They've had an X page, formerly Twitter, where you can go and see everything they're finding. Billions of dollars, our money, taxpayer money, being wasted on crap that we didn't even know was being wasted on. We were clueless, totally clueless what they were doing. And so the Democrats up on the Hill are coming down on Elon Musk like he's Satan because he's exposing this. And that's whose pet projects these were that it was going to. Okay? For instance, a few $1 billion going to a country in the Middle East to support LGBT community type stuff. What? They kill you in the Middle East if you come out as gay. That's the last place in the world you want to come out as gay, is any Middle Eastern country. Now, I take that back. If you're in Kuwait, for instance, they've become more civilized and it's not as bad. But try and come out as gay and support LGBTQ in, let's say, the Gaza Strip or Palestine. Guess what? You're walking dead. Because they're going to kill you. And our money was going to that. And that's just part of it. I mean, there was money going to Central and South American countries, millions of dollars to support shit that had nothing to do with helping them with clean water or food or any of that stuff. Now, the U.S. aid thing that happened, yes, U.S. aid was doing some good, all right? Anybody who tells you they weren't has no clue what the hell they're talking about. But what they found was they were taking a lot of that money and it wasn't going to food and medical supplies and water. They were funneling it through U.S. aid for other pet projects that the Democrats wanted in these foreign countries that we didn't know about. Of course, they don't want us to know about it. They sure as hell wouldn't be reelected again if we knew about it. And now they're freaking the hell out up on Capitol Hill. And they should be. And then you've got people like Alihan Omar saying horrible things about America, saying horrible things about the Jewish people, about Israel, siding with the violent protesters on college campuses. I mean, we're all for protesting peacefully, but when it turns violent and you take over a building, for crying out loud, it's no longer covered under our Constitution. It's no longer a right for you. And she was siding with that shit and attacking Israel with her words, attacking American veterans with her words. Hell, for crying out loud, she said that during the operation, I think it was called Gotham Serpent, when we went into Somalia to get that warlord and take him out, that's when the whole Black Hawk Down incident happened. See the movie Black Hawk Down? That's what this I'm referring to. All right, that mission. And a whole bunch of Americans died, American service members in that. 2 helicopters were shot down with RPGs. We lost American lives. And she said, quote, the real terrorists weren't the Somali warlords. That's, oh, by the way, where she's from. They were the Americans. And she's a sitting member of Congress. AOC sides with the violent protesters on college campuses, is against Israel and the Jews. Same thing with Rashida Tlaib, Anita Presley. And they're supporting Hamas, a terrorist organization, and are so up in arms right now that one of the leaders of that march, per se, on college campuses from the Middle East here on a student visa, promoting American hate and hate against Jewish people and Israel, the Trump administration is taking him into custody and he's going to be deported. And they're all up in arms about that. How dare you do that? Take away his First Amendment rights. Well, number one, he doesn't have First Amendment rights. He's not an American citizen. He's here on a student visa. And we don't want terrorists in our country. But yet, they're supporting it. So, people like that, and I don't care if they're a Democrat or a Republican. If a Republican's doing this kind of shit, get them out of there. Don't censor them. No, Get together, have your vote, and remove them from Congress. Rashida Tlaib needs to go. Alihan Omar needs to go. Jasmine Crockett, this, whatever you want to call her, needs to go. AOC needs to go. Anita Presley needs to go. Get them out of our Congress. They incite violence. They say the rudest, horriblest shit about our own country and our own people. And we see the far left following their lead, believing it's okay to go out and attack people that support this current administration. I don't care who you are. That's not okay. And then the worst part about all this is we've got federal judges that are doing everything in their power to step in and block the Trump administration from doing the things that they said they would do if you put them in power, what we elected them to do, which is clean up our streets and get rid of these gang members. They're not going out there separating families and children. Well, at least not yet. I don't know what's going to happen 2 or 3 years from now. Maybe they will. I don't know. But it's a crime to be here illegally. But right now, all they're focused on, all the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, the FBI, and now local law enforcement working with them, the only people they are concentrating on are violent criminals here illegally that are gang members that have committed murder, rape women and children, sex trafficking women and children, running drugs across the border, doing things that are horrible, disgusting, violent, and hurting and killing American citizens. That's what this administration is focused on right now. Getting them out. Because the past 4 years, that administration let them run rapid. They caught members of this new gang from Venezuela, a bunch of them. They finally round them up. These are the guys, you may have seen it, it's all over the internet. I talked about it on my show. That took over an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. Literally ran the management people out of the office and said, we own this now, it's ours. Terrorizing all the residents. Security cameras had them, coming in and kicking in doors they had all kinds of automatic weapons and AR-15s and AK-47s. They're violent gang members. And then we found out that some of them were flagged when they were taken into custody originally, and this administration let them out. They were flagged for the crimes they had committed in foreign countries, such as rape, murder, and things of that nature. And Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, just let them out. And now, members of Congress on the Democrat Party don't want them to have to go away. And so they're filing lawsuits. The ACLU's involved with filing a lawsuit recently against Trump to stop him from deporting these murderers and rapists and drug traffickers. Are you kidding me? You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. An American judge told this administration to turn around those airplanes that were already en route over there to bring them back to their country, get them out of ours, ordered them to be returned. Of course, they won't return because that was his verbal order. And when he gave the verbal order, they were already in the air. By the time he got his written order done, they were already on the ground in Venezuela. And they took custody of them and ran them and put them in their jail. In fact, the Homeland Security advisor is down there right now, checking on them. I don't know why, but she's down there. So let's go a little deeper into these judges. Also, there's the Signal chat thing that took place. And we'll talk about that a little bit, where FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, Department of Justice, all the heads were communicating using Signal, which is an app you can download on your phone. It's encrypted. And somehow, and we don't know how yet, but somehow a journalist, and not just a journalist, one of the most Trump derangement syndrome journalists that exist was added into that chat. If you ask me, they're going to find out when they get to the bottom of this that it turned out to be an inside job, just like it was during Trump's first 4 years, when there were people doing everything in their power in the administration to take him down by leaking shit out and crazy crap. Okay. So the Democrats up in DC are turning it into something that it's not. So let's talk about that for just a second. First, they said it was their personal cell phones, not government issued phones. Now, could there have been somebody in this chat that was on their personal phone with this app? Probably, I don't know. We don't have all the details of that. But what we do know is most of them were using their government issued phones. And guess who told them to download that app? And in some cases, actually downloaded it for them. The Biden-Harris CIA transition team, as they were leaving and the Trump team was coming in. This is an app that was approved by the president, Joe Biden, to be used to communicate however you need to, because you can't have all these. I mean, how often are all the heads of all the departments of our government in the same room at the same time? They're all over the friggin' country and all over the world. So they got to have a way to communicate with each other. And they determined that the best way was this Signal app. So the Democrats up in Washington, D.C. are trying to say that it was not a secure thing and that the head of the Defense Department, which was Pete Hegseth, should resign. Pete had nothing to do with this. He was just in that chat. What were they talking about? They were talking about an upcoming strike over in Yemen and taking out terrorists, which that's what they do. That's how they communicate with each other, through this app that the CIA told them they can use. And somewhere along the line, somebody added a Trump derangement syndrome person, journalist, to this, to the chat. Well, we've already had the man who's responsible in the Trump administration come forward. And we talked about that in last Tuesday's show. Take full blame and responsibility for this and say the buck stops with me. I'm the one that told them they can do this. I'm the one that set it all up because the outgoing team, the transition team, told us that's what they use. But yet, the Democrats in D.C. are saying that there's nobody taking accountability, and they want heads to roll. And they want it to be Pete Hegseth. They're saying that he was discussing war plans. Now, number one, here's who I blame. First off, once they find out who did this, who's responsible for this, okay, that person needs to be prosecuted. All right? But let's back up a minute. Here's my biggest problem with this whole damn thing right now. Why are the Republicans freaking out about this? They immediately, transparently went to Capitol Hill to the heads of the CIA, of the FBI, of the Department of Justice, the Homeland Security, to answer questions to Congress. And they're acting like they got their hand caught in a cookie jar. I don't get it. Just say, this is a major fuck up. I mean, seriously. We're not going to use this app anymore, number one. we're going to find a better, secure way of doing it moving forward. You know, thankfully the strike was fine. Nobody got this information. And it doesn't matter if they were discussing war plans or not discussing war plans. That's what they do. That's their job, to make sure they're all on the same sheet of music with each other. And it just so happens that we're told to use the Signal app. And they're up there like in shock. I've been watching these hearings, and I'm appalled by the way that these members of Congress in the Republican Party are so freaked out with the attacks that are coming from the Democrats. Instead of just saying, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This was approved. This is what we did. The only thing you need to be concerned about, Democrats in the House and the Senate, is who in the hell put this journalist in that chat? That's the only problem with this. Everything else was above board. So I can't, look, I beat my head up about this, trying to figure this out. And I've written to several of them. I've made phone calls to DC going, why are you guys giving them more ammunition to attack you and turn this into this giant shit show? And it is that. I reported on it and I told you all about it, how bad it is. But it was all approved, pre-approved. They have to have a way to communicate with each other. That's how this works. And this prior administration said, this is the app we use. And it is, according to everything I've been able to find out about it, do your own research. If you find out something different than what I found out, please, in the comments, let us know. But it appears to be the most secure app that we have in America that can't be hacked by Russia or China, that the Democrats are up in Washington, D.C. are saying can be. And it wasn't hacked. They accidentally, somebody added this Trump derangement syndrome journalist into the chat. So what are they going to use now? I don't know. The way the Republicans are acting with this could be dangerous. That they can't communicate with each other now because they don't know what to do or how to do it, or because the Democrats up on the Hill are trying to turn everybody against them. And they're spinning this bullshit story that's not true. And just so happens that these Republicans, these that are put in charge of these head agencies, are letting them do it. Now, when Trump was asked about it, it was like water on a duck's back. No, I'm not getting rid of them. I'm not firing them. I'm not making them resign. Get the fuck over it. All right? That's what they should be saying in front of Congress members. But that ain't what they're doing. You can go watch the hearings on YouTube, on Rumble, on X. They're all out there for you to watch. And not all of the Republican heads of these agencies are saying this. You know, the head of the, Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, he's holding his ground. The administration's security agent guy is holding his ground. He's the one that came out and took responsibility for it and said, if you want to fire somebody, make it be me, because I'm the one that told them all we can use this because the outgoing team told me we could. So we end up in this situation we're in right now. So let's take that Signal story. Let's look at the judge that happens to be going after Donald Trump to stop the deportation of murderers and rapists. This administration takes it to the appellate court. I watched that. The lawyers that represented our government need to be fired. They're incompetent. I wanted to come through the TV, and it was like, are you kidding me? Freaking stand on principle, on the law that Trump put in place. This judge doesn't have the right to interfere. That's like saying the judge can go in the middle of a war, go, oh no, you can't do this or you can't do that. They don't have that. They can't do that. It's a War Powers Act that Trump signed in the law. And what's the appellate court do? And I'm going to tell you, it's based on the attorney that was representing our government being a dumbass, sided with that judge and said, look, unless you can come up with a better argument, we're going to let him run our country for us. Yeah. So here's the big thing. You ready for this? This is going to blow your mind. That same judge who wants terrorists, and these gang members have been classified as terrorists by this administration, our Homeland Security, our CIA, our president has said they're terrorists. This judge who wants to allow these terrorists to stay here now happens to be the judge that's also going to look at the lawsuit that the Democrats are filing about the Signal app. And they want to say there's not two tiers of justice. We have watched the two tiers of justice take place in this country for a long time now. And now it's on full display for the world to see. Why even have a fucking president? Why have a director of the CIA, or a director of Homeland Security, or a director of the FBI, or a director of the Defense Department? If we're allowing federal judges to make the decisions that the executive branch is making, they don't have that power to start with. This is classic 101. We learned this or at least I did. I'm 62 years old, so I don't know if they're still teaching it now, but we learned this. I mean, the first time I remember learning it was like in elementary school. And then they got deeper into it as you got into junior high school. By the time you got to high school, you knew how the government worked and who was responsible for what. All of a sudden, that shit's thrown out the window. It doesn't exist anymore. And now these judges are allowed to step in and stop whatever the president's wanting to do. So what else have we got a federal judge doing right now? Trump administration decided, along with the defense secretary, that we're no longer going to allow those that classify as transsexuals to be in our military. If you're a member of the LGBTQ community, you're fine. We're not kicking gay people out. I serve with plenty of gay people. This isn't the problem. The problem is those men that call themselves women and dress up as women when they're not at work. And in some cases, they're actually in the military uniform wearing makeup and lipstick. It makes us look really, really sick to the rest of the world. And when they're not in the uniform, they're dressed as a woman. And there's an actual mental diagnosis for this that they're using to remove them from our military. Not to mention, God forbid, in a combat zone, one of them gets captured by the enemy. If it's the Middle East, they're dead, okay? They're going to just kill them. They're not going to, it's over with. So, in a way to protect them and also to save us money, because what are they wanting to do? Well, first off, you know why they're joining the military? To get their surgeries paid for, to get their sex change operation covered. And that's what was happening under the Joe Biden administration. They were allowing the Department of Defense to cover the transition surgeries for these men that wanted to be women. And this administration, using the medical term, and I'm sorry I don't have it with me right now, but it's there. Look it up. Okay, you can find it on the internet, what they used. But that term, if somebody knows, put it in the chat or put it in the comments of this show tonight. But there's an actual medical term for that. That is a mental term. So they're using that to remove transsexual people from our military. Because they're not there to serve our country. They're there for the sex change operation. Could there be some that are actually there to serve our country? Of course there could. You know, I don't know. I can't tell you that for a fact, but I'm sure it's possible that there are some patriotic transsexuals that want to serve in the military because they consider themselves a patriot and they want to support our country. So they did the order under the medical condition that it's a mental health thing. And that was supposed to go into effect tomorrow, Friday. And another one of these federal judges just stepped in and said, nope, I can't do that. Sorry. We're writing an order. You cannot kick transsexual people out of the military. So now these federal judges are telling our law enforcement they can't remove murderers, rapists, child molesters, drug traffickers. They're telling our military they can't remove people for a medical condition. What the fuck's going on? Now, all of this that I'm telling you is going to go to the Supreme Court. I mean, it ain't over with, all right? It's all going up to the Supreme Court. It will all be overturned at the Supreme Court. I'm pretty damn positive that these judges are going to be shut down. But the point is, what kind of a un-American, subhuman person are you that you side with terrorists in our country and those that murder, rape, molest children, and bring in drugs across our border? What type of human being thinks that's okay? These federal judges. And appellate courts are giving them, they don't want to go against them. They have the power to stop them. And they're siding with those judges. So yes, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Once it gets there, I'm pretty damn confident, 99.9%, that the Supreme Court is going to go, you have no authority here. The Constitution lays it out pretty damn clear where all that plays into with our three branches of government. And these judges, federal judges, do not have the authority to do what they're doing right now. So there are members of Congress on the Republican Party that want to have these judges removed. And we've already had Supreme Court justices that are Republicans, actually, that were Roberts was appointed by Trump, who said that's not the route to go. All right, there's a process for this. Let it play out. As in, let it come to us. Let us deal with this. And the Trump administration is, because of the Republican members of Congress that are pushing this forward or trying to get it to get it changed and shut down and kick them out and all that kind of good shit right now. And so let the Supreme Court deal with it. That's how this is going to happen. What can Congress do about members of Congress that side with terrorists, that hate Israel, that hate American veterans, that now are trashing the disabled? Kick them the fuck out. You have that power. Republicans, last time I checked, you're the majority in the House and the Senate. You have the power to remove Crockett, Omar, Tlaib, Anita Presley. Kick them the fuck out. That's what we, the people, would like to see you do. Or at least the conservatives, Republicans, and those that voted Donald Trump into office. So we've got a long ways to go. This year, it's going to be in front of the Supreme Court, all of these cases we just talked about tonight. So, it's not going to happen overnight. But they're going to keep doing this. The last time Trump was in office, they had the whole Russia collusion bullshit and all the, the impeachment trials and all that kind of crap that they did, to just lock Trump up for 4 years, for crying out loud. And now they're doing it with federal judges. Federal judges are running our country right now, stopping this administration from doing what we elected them to do. The majority of the American people that voted, think about it, Trump won not only the Electoral College, but he also won the popular vote. And we knew in advance, because he ran on it, what he was going to do if we elected him. So now these federal judges are going against the will of the people. You get it? It's all sink in now? Because I'm going to tell you something. As a combat veteran that served this country with honor, I'm pissed off at what these federal judges are doing. I'm pissed off at Jasmine Crockett because I have a special needs son. I'm pissed off at Alihan Omar because I'm a veteran. I'm pissed off at AOC for the horrible rhetoric she said about the Jews and Israel. Guess they never heard about the Holocaust and all the things that the Jewish people went through. And now they want them killed, annihilated. They want our military to stop the campaign we're doing right now to take out the Houthis and Hamas. Sad. It's really sad. Anyhow, if something breaks between now and next Tuesday's show, I will do a live broadcast about it, or I'll put out a video about it. Other than that, if you haven't already done so, if you're watching me tonight on Rumble or you're watching me on X or LinkedIn, we go out live on LinkedIn too. Please subscribe to this channel, share it with your family and friends, share my videos with your family and friends. Let them know if they got little ones in the room that Mr. Doug sometimes says a bad word or two, or in some cases, I've been known to say a bad word throughout my entire hour of a show every freaking few minutes. So, it's what happens. All right. Most veterans, I'm sorry. Look, at least in the Army, in basic training, if you didn't use the F word before, you were using it before you got out of basic. All right. I think that goes for the Marine Corps too. Maybe not the Air Force and the Navy, but look, it was a complete different story back then. I'm making fun of this, but I think you get the point. Whatever you're doing this weekend, please be safe. Watch out for your family and friends, and just be thankful that we're still living in the greatest country on the face of this earth. I know that for a fact because I've been to just about every state in America, all over Central and South America, and Northeast and West Asia, all over the Middle East. And I assure you, there's no other country like this one. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. And a quick shout out to all my moderators. Thank you for the wonderful job you guys and girls are doing. It is very, very much appreciated. Good night.